Hello everyone, welcome back to Believer Science Academy Bengaluru. Whole of India is gearing up for Dasara. Whole of India is gearing up for Durga Puja. Similarly, West Bengal is also gearing up for their traditional Durga Puja. But unfortunately, yesterday, because of heavy rainfall, 8 to 9 people died. Why? Not because of drowning, but because of electrocution because the hay wires were left unchecked. As a result, 9 people died because of electrocution. Imagine people dying because of electrocution, not in their home, not in any electric grid, but on the streets. That is how insane or how grave the situation is in most of the urban areas in India. So today we will discuss why such things happens. So we'll do a policy analysis of this event and then compare it with the recent events that happened throughout India. And also why is India so vulnerable to monsoons. So let us start the video. The topic is when festivities kill. Dark side of urban mismanagement in Kolkata. Dark side of urban mismanagement in Kolkata, particularly in the areas where deaths happened. Today, first we will discuss about Kolkata, then we will discuss about rest of the country. So, this policy is prepared for West Bengal government and Kolkata Municipal Corporation. So, date September 9, 2025. That is when Kolkata witnessed a lots of rainfall, which led to death of 8 to 9 people just because of electrocution. So, not only that, these are some of the events that happened in the recent past in India. Bridge collapse. This is where in Northeast, when the rainfall is too high, this is how the roads of Indian urban cities look like. And this is also bridge collapse. Here you can see Himachal Pradesh, Telangana, riverbed mining, bridge collapse in threatened, Arunachal Pradesh. Everywhere these issues are happening throughout India. So first we'll discuss with Kolkata and then move on to rest of the country. So context and the situation overview. What happened? Kolkata received 247 to 252 millimeter rainfall in 24 hours on 22 to 23 of September 2025, causing unprecedented flooding across the city. Okay, that is a given. Because of the rainfall, extreme rainfall, city is going to flood. Okay, that is given. That is there everywhere in the throughout India or throughout the world also. But at least 8 to 9 people died of electrocution coming into contact with submerged live wires or faulty electrical infrastructure. This is where the gravity of the situation is. This is how mismanaged the urban areas are. Next, public transport, metro, suburban rail, hospitals, and homes were severely disrupted. Dozens of flights were cancelled or delayed. Next, political and utility accountability disputes emerged. The ruling party in West Bengal started accusing opposition party, and the opposition party in West Bengal started accusing Kolkata, started accusing the ruling party of West Bengal, that is Mamata Banerjee's government. So instead of taking responsibility or taking accountability and being cooperative regarding this issue, the political parties started blame game. Next, the crisis occurred days before Durga Puja, endangering festival workers, artisans, and cultural assets. So governance failures are identified here. So what are the failures? If we decode these particular failures in Kolkata, we can trace it to rest of the country as well, rest of the major cities as well. First, fragmented responsibilities. That is, urban management is split among municipal, state, private utility, rail or airport authorities, etc., etc. And lack of single command center, delayed coordinated power shutdowns, rescue, and hazard isolation. Okay, so this fragmented responsibility between various bodies or various governments, it is what led to non-cooperation, it is what led to death of innocent people. And aging electrical infrastructure, exposed wires, faulty posts, and ad hoc connection amplify electrocution risks during the floods. Obviously, if you see any of the major cities, especially the metropolitan cities of Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, and even in some parts of Bengaluru, if you just lift your head up in the streets, you will not see the clear sky. Instead, you will see lots of wires dangling there, dangling here and there, and you will also spot some of the birds which have died on these electrical wires. That is how grave the situation is in most of the cities. Next, inadequate drainage and land use planning, encroachments, slight silted drains, and unplanned urban expansion worsen the flooding. Temporary festival structures in low-lying areas are especially vulnerable. during the festivities of Ganapati, during the festivities of Durga Puja, during the festivities of other rituals or other festivals or other religions. Also, you will see most of the pendals are ad hoc structures which are built for housing housing these statues, housing the structures of different deities. They are most of the times built in lowland area. So when the floodings happen, these are the areas where the gravity or the vulnerability is very high. Next, weak early warning responses. IMD, that is Indian Meteorological Department alerts, are not always translated into preemptive actions. Power isolation, evacuation, and workshop relocation always takes a lag. Next, neglect of informal and artisanal workers. Pendles and Kumartali artisans face severe economic, health, and safety risks with insufficient structural support. These are the artisans who get work on a seasonal basis, especially during the festivals of Ganapati Chaturthi or Ganesh Chaturthi, or in the festivals of Durga Puja, where they are brought from different cities or different rural areas to the major cities to build statues. That is how they earn livelihood. And because they are there for a temporary purpose, they do not get housing facilities. They do not get proper structure for them to live or for them to sustain for a period of time. So they will be living in ad hoc structures, and they are at the most vulnerability during these periods, both economically and both security wise. Next, we'll discuss ethical and legal implications of this particular incident. First is ethical considerations, that is duty of care. Officials must safeguard lives and utilities must maintain safe distribution. That is what happens in a country with ethical governance or state with ethical governance. That should be the ideal case. But is it happening in India? No. Next, equity. Inequity, vulnerable groups, that is daily wage laborers, artisans, pilgrims, bear the brunt of disasters. They should be provided with extra protection because they are very vulnerable. The high-end people, the people with the sophisticated infrastructure, are most of the times safe during these kind of hazards. But the people of the vulnerable sections are the ones who are most vulnerable or prone to these kind of diseases. So they should be given certain extra considerations. They should be given certain extra protections. Next, cultural risk management. That is, ensuring festival safety without stifling cultural expression is also an ethical necessity. Just because you want to ensure safety doesn't mean you have to ban cultural expression or religious festivities. You have to take both hand in hand. You have to increase the governance rather than shutting down these festivities. Next, legal accountability. Here we are talking about criminal negligence or culpable homicide. It is time that we start treating civil apathy or civic apathy or the administrative apathy leading to deaths of innocent people as culpable homicide. Instead of treating them as negligence, instead of treating them as misgovernance, we should treat them as culpable homicide and they should be tried for culpable murders. FIS can be filed if the staff knowingly ignore the hazards. And not only the staff of the lower end, but also staff at the higher end, also officers at the higher end. They should also be held accountable. They should also be charged on the culpable homicide. Next, utility liability. That is, under Electricity Act of 2003, unsafe supply must be promptly addressed and failure may invite penalties. But though the law is there, like any kind of law in India, the law is there, but the implementation is very negligent. Implementation is very haphazardly. So, municipal liability. That is, under the Municipal Act, KMC, that is Kolkata Municipal Corporation in this particular case, must maintain drains, street lights, and emergency preparedness, or else it should provide compensation. That is, 5 lakh ex gratia is legally justified. Okay, these are post-mortem kind of things. That is, after the hazard happens, after the disaster happens, after the death happens. But what we should be focusing on? We should be focusing on preparedness. We should be focusing on preventing these things. Next, private premises. That is, owners of flooded basements like Delhi IAS coaching death in July 2024, which we'll talk about it later in the video, can face criminal and civil liability for unsafe conditions. Next, disaster management act compliance. That is, failure to implement actionable city level disaster plans attract administrative scrutiny as well. So these are the ethical and uh, legal implications of this particular incident. So this incident is not new to India. This incident is not new in the monsoon times. There are recent incidents which are very similar to this, such as Kolkata, this one, the current issue, 8 to 9 electrocutions. Why? Because of the severe waterlogging, metro and rail disruption, and fragmented accountability and infrastructure vulnerability. If you have seen this movie, that is Aparachit. Okay, there is one incident in Aparachit where the trauma that causes Ambi, who becomes Aparachit over a period of time, the reason behind him becoming Aparachit is rooted in his childhood, where he sees his own sister dying because of electrocution in a muddy water. Why? Because there was a broken hay wire which electrocutes the water, which indirectly electrocutes her. Initially, there was a potted hole. There is a pot in the road. As a result, the bandi that is carrying them tips over. As a result, she falls into that muddy water. As a result, she dies. So that trauma causes him to become aparichit. That trauma causes him to kill officials or kill administrators who are not working properly. Those who are corrupt officials. Okay, that is the story, but that story has become reality nowadays. That story is a common case in nowadays. So what we can expect? We can expect an aparichit in the form of any of those relatives who can come out and not kill the persons, but instead protest against these kind of issues. Next, Northeast India floods, May June 2025. 30 to 36 deaths and many displacements in northeastern India. Regional preparedness gaps, recurring monsoon vulnerability, where the key lessons learned from this particular incident. And monsoon 2025, not just over a particular region but throughout India. Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, North Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Godavari districts, every district is facing these kind of issues. Thousands of deaths across states. The recent report, there are more than 990 deaths in India just before the month end of September because of monsoons. This is because of systematic lack of urban flood resilience and also systematic lack of flood protection programs in India. Then Delhi IAS coaching basement, July 2024. This is an incident which shook me to the core because I was also an aspirant who was preparing for the mains during the same period of time, and some of the friends or some of the persons who were preparing along with me for the mains died unfortunately. And the cause of death, not because they went out to swim some of the waterfalls, how that normally the deaths happen in the monsoons. Some of the people who go out to enjoy in waterfalls, who go out to enjoy in reservoir like rivers, who go out to enjoy in oceans, they drown and die. But here, what was the death? They didn't go out to enjoy, they didn't go out to celebrate, they were sitting in library, they were peacefully studying for their exam, peacefully studying for the mains, UPSC mains, and the cause of death, they drowned. How? Because the library was in the basement and the whole of the street was clogged, and as a result, when a fast moving vehicle moved past, the water started flooding in, and water started flooding in, and water started flooding inside the basement of the coaching institute where the library was there, and as a result, water started moving in, and people got enclosed in the library, and three people died a horrible death. Imagine drowning in a library. How insane that sounds. Just to imagine drowning in the library, that is unheard of before. So three students died, and private obligators safety obligations were there and legal scrutiny. So these are the unfortunate people who died in the Delhi coaching institute death in July 2024, and this is the unfortunate area or the library where they died. And along with that, another issue, just before this Delhi IS coaching flooding or Delhi IS coaching death of three students, just a month ago another person was preparing for mains, died. How? Because of electrocution. This is the person who died, and this is the unfortunate. I would like to suggest a viewer discussion here. This is the real image how he died. He held on to a gate which was steel or iron, which could conduct electricity, and the wires, you can see the clogged wires here, these wires were clogged there, and as a result, one of the wire broke out and it electrocuted the gate, and as soon as he touched the gate, he got electrocuted and he died also. Just imagine, the Aparachit story is becoming reality here. And this is northeastern regions. This can be any region, be it North Karnataka, southern Maharashtra, or Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, anywhere. This is the common scene that comes in mind when the monsoon happens in India. Okay, so it is not any one issue, but it is a culmination of issues across India. So, what are the policy recommendations? How do you avoid such incidents? Here in the policy recommendations, we will see what should be the immediate, or what should be the immediate recommendations, what should be the immediate measures that are to be taken, and then we'll talk about intermediate or midterm, and then we'll talk about long term. So in the immediate regions or immediate time, that is between the 0 to 3 months, we should focus on targeted power isolation standard operating procedures. That is pre-mapped high risk pockets with the triggers and alerts via SMS and loudspeakers. You should create awareness among the people. Sorry, so it sounds very ridiculous because the government has to make sure that it doesn't happen. But instead, what the government has to do here is in the immediate reason, at least in the immediate time at least, it has to create awareness among the people that don't come here because of our lack of a governance. The wire is broken here because of the lack of our governance. People have are vulnerable here. There is a chance that you may die, so don't come here. That is what they can do in the immediate time. Then rapid electrical hazard terms, that is 24 into 7 mixed teams of municipality, utility and police to isolate the dangerous infrastructure. Then safe assembly or evacuation points, designed dry spaces for pandal workers and artisans during the monsoon period or during the urban or normal floodings. Then cash relief for streamlined claims, this is post-mortem, that is fast track ex gratia payments to victims and festival relief for artisans. This is the immediate, because you cannot change the system or over a day. So in the immediate day, at least you can do these things. And in the medium term, between 3 to 24 months, first is GIS asset mapping. Okay, that is use of geopositioning system to asset mapping, that is public inventory of electrical, drainage and pump infrastructure integrated with emergency operations. And then flood safe electrical infrastructure, use waterproof junctions. You spend so much of money on building the statues, you spend so much of money on festivities, you spend so much of money on sponsoring so and so things. Why can't you spend that money on making the safety necessity? Why you cannot spend that money on making waterproof wires? Okay, so spend on waterproof junctions, raised transformers and insulated lamp posts and mandatory inspections now and then. Then drainage modernization, that is silt removal, canal restoration and urban runoff mitigation. So this is one of the areas why urban areas become clogged. So the areas where the water is supposed to drain is clogged by all the waste. So there has to be civic sense as well. So instead of dumping the waste in this drainage cloth, you can dump in the dustbin areas. Then festival licensing and safety checks, mandatory drainage and electrical safety clearances of temporary structures, worker protection and insurance, that is micro insurance for festival artisans and temporary laborers, legal clarity, that is clear guidelines of responsibility between different members or different stakeholders such as utilities and municipal authorities. Next, in the long term, between 2 to 5 years, we should bring up climate resilient urban planning. Okay, so that in order to avoid these kind of issues or mishaps in the future, that is implement water plazas, underground reservoirs and integrated stormwater storage such as Tokyo or Amsterdam models, and public transparency and accountability, that is independent time bound post disaster inquiry reports, the Seoul model of Korea. Then cultural infrastructure protection, that is permanent guidelines for safe flood resilient festival installations. Okay, so this way we can avoid such incidents from happening in the future. Some of the countries have proven that it is possible to avoid these issues, such as Tokyo in Japan. What does it do? Deep underground stormwater canals, which is called as GCANS project. GCANS project store excess rainwater, preventing the surface flooding. Next, New York City, USA. Con Edison automatically cuts power to flood-prone zones when water level across thresholds. Okay, when the water level crosses the threshold, it automatically cuts down the power, and robust compensation mechanisms follow. Then Singapore, real-time drainage and power monitoring dashboards, publicly accessible and ensure accountability. And then Amsterdam, Netherlands, integrated water plazas double as parks and emergency reservoirs during the storms. Next, Seoul, South Korea, transparent post-disasters white papers detail causes, accountability and corrective measures made public within the weeks. Okay, so these things, though are already working in other countries, why cannot we implement in our countries? It is not like we're investing so much here. It is just a detailed scrutiny of an event. It is just use of the money you are spending somewhere else for the protection and safety that can be followed here. Next, constitutional mandate and rights-based approach. Okay, it is not only the legal or ethical thing that we have to care about it, but also the constitutional mandate itself. That is under Article 21. Article 21 under the Constitution provides right to life and personal liberty. What happened in the case of Delhi? what happened in the case of Kolkata, what happened in the case of electrocution, that their right to life was taken away by the civic apathy. The right to life was taken away by mishappenings. So, citizens have the right to safe urban environments. Preventable deaths constitute constitutional violation as well. So, many of the people are violating the constitution itself. Article 38 and 39, the directive principles, says that it is the duty of the state to promote welfare, health, and safety of the citizens. Next, municipal responsibilities under Article 243W and 12th schedule, that is urban safety, drainage, sanitation, and disaster preparedness are legally enforceable municipal functions. So, municipality should take care that it takes all the measures necessary to avoid such kind of mishaps. Then, principle, that is disaster management is not optional, it is constitutional and moral obligation. Excuse me, that has to be mandated, that has to be the core behind all this kind of infrastructure. Next, actionable indicators to monitor. Okay, so what, how, and how, why we have to monitor. First is investigation and FIRs, that is track registration of cases against the officials or utility staff, and operational standard operating procedures, that is public release of preemptive power shutdowns and hazard response plans should be taken away, and relief dispersal, that is timely transfer of ex gratia payments and artisan support dispersal tracking. Then infrastructure improvements, that is progress on drainage modernization, electrical insulation, and GIS mapping has to be done over the period of next 2 to 5 years. Okay, this has to be the duty of not only the government but also the duty of citizenry as well. So in conclusion, Kolkata's recent electrocution deaths and flooding reveals systematic governance failures, ethical lapses, urgent safety gaps, and by aligning policies with constitutional rights, legal obligations, and global best practices, West Bengal can transform disaster management from reactive firefighting into proactive rights-based urban governance, protecting lives, livelihoods, and culture. So one person has to remember this, that no citizen should die of preventable causes of heart preventable causes in the heart of the modern city. No person has to die because of preventable causes in the modern city, meaning no person has to die because of petty electrocution in the hearts of a modern city. So it is a duty of government, it is a duty of citizenry to hold the government accountable, it is a duty of each and everyone to hold each and everyone accountable to these kind of issues. So this is the video for today. I know I went on a rant today, but it is what has to be said here. Okay, it is not the story of Kolkata, it is the story of whole of India as well. So citizens, it is a duty of you to take up stand, it is a duty of you to take up stand against the government and stand against the local government and the state government and everyone who is responsible for these kind of mishaps. Okay, so with this I will be ending the video. Jai Hind and Jai Karnataka.